Matt. Thank you, Mr. Gaston. Welcome residents, council and staff to the meeting of the Town Council of Brentwood. Today is Tuesday, January 18th, 2022, and we are starting this meeting at 7:08 p.m. The meeting's being held virtually, and residents can view the meeting by joining the Zoom link at the end of tonight's agenda, or they can view us on Comcast Channel 71, Verizon Channel 36, or online at livestream.com/brentwoodmd.gov. For those of us who have just now joined the meeting, I remind folks that Mayor Treminio Lopez is with us. She's present, she'll be voting, but she's lost her voice. So I'll be hosting tonight's meeting. And Madam Treasurer, Ms. Dorsey, actually is going to be joining us later in the meeting. She's doing some last minute work at her old job, at her other job, and she should be joining us shortly. So with that being said, Ms. Richards, would you mind calling roll?
Vice Mayor Leggett.
Present.
Councilmember Monroe.
Present.
Councilmember Taylor. I saw her. Councilmember Vetri Goff.
Present.
Mayor Treminio Lopez, we saw her.
Here.
Town Administrator Gaston.
Present. I'm present.
Chief Altoff.
Present.
Town Attorney Deloach.
Present.
As the Vice Mayor stated, the Treasurer will be joining us soon, and Giselle Richards, Town Clerk, present.
All right, thank you, Ms. Richards. So before we get to the agenda, let's take a collective moment of silence, and then we'll follow that by the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, thank you. If you wouldn't mind joining together for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's great. So we have the agenda displayed, which is great, and I'm sure everybody had a chance to review it before tonight's meeting. Before we get to any changes, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda of the Mayor and Council Town meeting on Tuesday, January 18th.
Thank you, Councilmember Taylor. And does anybody have any changes they'd like to make?
I have an addition, please.
Councilmember Vetri Goff?
Yes, I'd like to add into new business, I guess we can call it the plaque for the police chief, a discussion.
Okay. So I'll just write down new plaque for the police chief discussion. Okay. Anything else? Mr. Gaston, do we have anything that we'd like to delete from old business?
No, sir. When those items are when we arrive at those items on the agenda, we'll address them then. So that way
Beautiful.
there will be no disruption of the agenda as it was written.
Any other changes or input to tonight's agenda? All right, all those in favor of tonight's agenda, say aye.
Aye.
So approved. So now we have, what do we have next? We have the general public comments. Oh no, we have the upcoming events. I'll take the first item and then I'll hand it to Mr. Gaston for the second item. The first upcoming event is Tuesday, January 25th. This is the Public Works Committee meeting that'll be held virtually at 7 p.m. And I think we have an update about the Brentwood Business Network meeting.
Yes, we do. As of it stands right now, we are going to postpone the meeting, which is a happy hour joint venture between the town of Colmar Manor and the town of Brentwood, till March 22nd. All are invited. Stay tuned. We may, of course, have to make a change. We are doing this because of the current outbreak and things of that nature. So we want to be mindful of our residents, our business owners, and just community in general. So that's why we've postponed it. Come mid-February, early March, we may have to change it again, but as of right now, that's where we are. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gaskin, for that updates. So now we go to general public comments. As a reminder, folks can always email info@brentwoodmd.gov by 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting, or call the office at 301-364-4179 and leave a message to be included in the meeting. I know we also have a few residents live on Zoom. Before we turn to them, Madam Clerk, do we have any emails or voicemails, any public comments in that way?
No, sir, I have not received any public comments via email or voicemail.
Okay. And do we have any hands raised from our participants tonight? Is there anybody that would like to chime in before we proceed? I don't think I see any.
I don't see any as of right now.
Okay, very good, very good. So now we move on to the approval of the minutes. We have council meeting minutes, work session minutes, and of course the special meeting minutes. Assuming everybody had a chance to review them, I'll ask Councilmember Taylor to make a motion to approve.
And those don't need to be, Jason, those don't need to be approved individually. I can make one motion to approve.
You
All
can
submitted
make one
minutes?
motion. Yep.
Okay, I move to approve all minutes submitted by the town clerk.
Do we need to call roll for this one?
No.
All right, all in
No, you
favor,
don't.
say aye.
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 Moving right along. So up next, our favorite part is reports, and we'll begin with the police chief's report.
Good evening, everyone. In the month of December, we had 364 total calls. 264 of them were for calls for service. We did 176 premises checks, 101 violation of the red light camera. And excuse me for a minute, because I was out today and I'm trying to catch up with my notes, so forgive me. For payments received was a total of $765. $100 was a donation for the from Harry and Sons for the Christmas toy event donations. Parking tickets under 30 days received $65. There was a total of $600 in impound fees, which totaled up to $765. My chief's report is submitted. I just want to highlight a couple of things. The whole department in the month of December attended naloxone training, better known as Narcan. It's a drug that we can give people who overdose on opiates. And so we're starting to see a little bit of that come in town. So now we're prepared to administer life-saving drug for people, for our victims of overdose. Also, I was able to get 20 boxes of poultry from Prince George's County government, which was distributed to the town residents. Myself and the mayor attended press conferences regarding mental health for services for our citizens and police officers. I was elected to the Prince George's County Police Chiefs Association as on the executive board as the association's treasurer. Attended the PGCMA legislator meet and greet, gave a presentation on police accountability. I hope I made the town proud of that night. And as you know, we did the research proposal and we're in the beginning stages of implementing Lexapol. And also I'm working closely with Ultimate and LA Perez to get their speed camera up and running. So you'll see more of that as we move forward. We have one. I submitted a streets that we must advertise in the newspaper, and I wanted to get your all's thoughts and then an approval so we can move forward to getting them advertised. That's part of the law, says we have to advertise where speed cameras could be placed or the placement of them. Did everybody get that? Basically, what we're looking at is Rhode Island Avenue in both directions, Allison Street, 38th, 37th, Perry, Taylor Street, Volta, and Wyndham as of right now. I'd just like to know your thoughts so we can proceed further. It has to be in Washington Post, can't be a general newspaper because the cameras will be in the DMV area. And LA Press is creating a resolution too. I think our town ordinance meets the requirements also already in place. And lastly, I have a town citizen, Mr. Mumal, who lives on 38th Street. He submitted an application for a handicap parking space near his residence. I met with Mr. Mumal. I looked at his residence. He does have a driveway, and my feeling usually is not to grant anybody that has a driveway because there's accessibility to the residents. But looking at Mr. Mumal's resident, his driveway is extremely tight. He has history with the town when Mayor Denny back then created a handicap spot at his location. So with the history and his disability and tightness of the driveway, I am supportive of allowing him to have a handicap spot parked at his residence, but that's for the mayor and you, the council, to decide if that's okay or not. And I believe that is my report.
So Chief, we can add that to the agenda under new business for voting, making a decision tonight.
Can we add that, please?
Chief, did you say there was an email that listed the proposed spots for the speed camera as well as the address for the handicap?
The handicap wasn't being able to do. I know it's on 38th Street. It's Mr. Mumal's resident. It's the second house on the left after you pass Volta. My apologies on that. It was on my desk today, and I'm not up to not well, so that I wasn't be able to properly give you his address. As far as the address is on there, you should have gotten it.
Yeah, I think it just went out. So if mayor and council wants to check their email, they'll see the chief's notice with specific block numbers and streets.
Vice Mayor, if I may, real quickly.
Yes, sir.
Per our town attorney, who is currently on the call, the appropriate term is accessible parking, not handicap parking.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Don't thank me. Thank our town attorney, who is right on it. So we want to make sure that we're accurate when we vote on this particular legislation.
My apologies.
No apologies necessary. You're fine.
Me again. Jason, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess for this, it needs to be on a resolution for accessible parking, or we don't have to do a resolution, just a vote.
I believe that is correct, Mayor. I don't think you need a resolution for that.
Okay. Double checking just for the records, because we need to keep records in future. People come back and try to remove that as what they did in the past.
it could be reflected obviously in the minutes. But I don't think you need a formal resolution for that.
All right, so we'll revisit both those issues when we get back to new business. Thank you, Chief, for your report. I know you're feeling poorly. I hope you get lots of rest and chicken soup or whatever is going to help you. So we're going to skip the treasurer's report until she is able to join us. I don't think she's online yet. She should be here momentarily, but we'll skip right to Mr. Gaston and the town administrator report.
Thank you very much. Chief, if you stay close by, we have something that we need to present to you later on. So I know you're not feeling well. As a matter of fact, Vice Mayor, do you mind if we just jump to that real quick so we could move on, you think?
Not at all. That sounds great.
Okay, great. Because I know he's not feeling well. So let me cue it up and just give me 1 second. My apologies for the delay. I have the item queued up. I am going to share the screen. And there you go. Hopefully everyone can see this. If you can't, please let me know. But for those who weren't not aware, January 9th, 2022 was National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. In so much, what we'd like to do is to proclaim January 9th, 2022, Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. I can read the proclamation, or maybe the town clerk would like to read the proclamation, or maybe even the vice mayor, but it is queued and ready. So that is where we are. We wanted to make sure that the police chief was aware of this and he could hear it. So that's why we're doing it.
I can read it.
Say it again.
I can read it.
No kidding. All right.
National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, whereas across the country on Sunday, January 9th, 2022, citizens take the lead to demonstrate support on National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Whereas law enforcement officers of every rank and file have chosen a profession that puts their life on the line every day for their communities. They've answered a call to public service that is demanding and often unappreciated. On National Law Enforcement Day, we have an opportunity to thank them for their service and offer a token of respect. Whereas National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day was founded in 2015 to thank officers across the country for all the daily sacrifices they make for their communities. Concerns of police survivors, the FBI National Academy Associates, the Fraternal Order of Police, the Internal Association of Chief of Police, the Officer Down Memorial Page, Law Enforcement United, the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, International Conference of Police Chaplains, National Troopers Coalition, only named a few of the long list of organizations supporting the inaugural day of Law Enforcement Officers Appreciation Day. Since then, nationwide, many more organizations have joined forces to support National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, to spread encouragement and respect to these dedicated men and women. Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Brentwood, Maryland, declares Sunday, January 9, 2022 as National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day in Brentwood. Well, adopted this to Tuesday, the 18th day of January 2022.
Thank you very much, Town Clerk. At some point, we will have the mayor sign this document and we'll have it recorded in the minutes, and we will turn it over to the police department for there to share and things of that nature. If anybody has any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to contact us. Vice Mayor, I turn it back over to you, sir.
I believe I'll be turning it right back to you for the administrator's report.
That is true statement. Give me 1 second. I'll cue that up. Thank you very much for your patience. Here is my TA's report for Tuesday, January 18th, 2022. Really quickly, not much is really changed too much in regards to the Newtown Center. The WSSC and the Washington Gas, the Pepco permit and the WSSC permit have been submitted. The Washington Gas hasn't responded, but we're still staying on top of them to get that redone. The damaged guardrail was supposed to be fixed last weekend, but as everybody know, the weather was not at its best. So therefore, the person will be fixing the guardrail hopefully this upcoming weekend, which is at 38th and Volta. There's no new update on the Perry Street Alley. There's no new update for Public Works. Curb painting, of course, there's no new update on that. Bunker Hill, there's still no update on that. It's the same. The arborist, as everyone know, we have 48 trees that have been registered. Adirondack did remove the tree at 4510 37th Street and the tree at Perry Street and Cedarcroft. So if you have not seen the updated versions of that, please do. But like I said, the changes have been made. Sidewalk repairs, Grace Management is 90% done with their current project. The only last area we need to do is Volta between 40th and Rhode Island Avenue, but we need to have a resident move their fence before that can be done. Additional sidewalks repairs will be done in the next fiscal year. And these are 3 of the examples of items that very important, but just wasn't on this particular budget cycle, but we are definitely going to address them the next go round. Parks Department, Bartlett Park now has a brand new LED light that is on the 38th Street side. It was dark, and so now it's been upgraded. So all 4 corners of the town hall are lit, and the path that goes through Bartlett Park, all of those lights have been not only updated with LED, but they've also been trimmed. So the path is, when it doesn't have snow on it, is nice and bright and clear. Veterans Memorial Park, nothing new there. The Pocket Park, nothing new there. As you very well know, we do have a brand new gate here at 4400 Rhode Island Avenue. Pepco is going to install 2 EV stations probably in the next month or 2. But everything's been approved. We just need to get on the construction schedule. Town staff, currently, and much to my chagrin, the town is seeking a new town clerk. Ms. Richards is moving on to another position in another town. So we are currently looking for a new town clerk. As you very well know, we are still also looking for a full-time code enforcement officer. And the town is also seeking a new staff member for Public Works. These positions, except for the Public Works position, are posted on our website. Code enforcement, no update on the grass 44, no new updates. And then of course there is the code report. And if you give me a second, I can pull that up because there are some permits that I think you might be interested in. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna print it.
Mr.
Is he
Gaston, if
mute?
you're speaking, we can't hear you.
I apologize. Let me start over. Here is the code enforcement report. As you can see, a lot of the items are routine. However, I did want to highlight a new area of our code enforcement report, which are utility permits. There are many times when people are asking when and does the utilities contact us when they're doing major work in the town. Yes, they do, and they have to file a report. So these are the 4 items: Volta and Jackson, Varnum, 4400 block of 39th and 3709 Webster. They're going to basically be upgrading the telephone poles in those areas. It's going to start in February and hopefully end by June. So if anybody has any questions or comments, please do not hesitate to ask. Does anybody have any questions about the code enforcement report? Nope. Fantastic. Moving back to the TA's report. Give me 1 hot second. Alrighty then. So as I stated, the Brentwood Business Network happy hour has been moved to March 22nd. Here is the actual flyer. We're actually going to have Arthur Horn Jr. Esquire. He's managing partner at Shipley and Horn, but he is a link to a lot of the small business contracts that were with Prince George's County. So he's going to do a brief presentation on how to help small businesses with local government contracting and contracts for Prince George's County government. Capital Area Food Bank, really quickly, we were trying to be a partner with Capital Area Food Bank. As everybody know, the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of every month, the town distributes approximately 380 boxes of food. Thanks to Councilmember Leggin, thanks to Mayor Lopez for setting this up. Thanks to our public works staff, the police department. We try to get as many boxes distributed as possible, but unfortunately, the Way of Life Church of Christ has declined to become a partner with us because there was a lot of staffing that was involved with that. Does anybody have any questions about the Capital Area Food Bank situation? Fantastic. So we will continue to be what's called a grantee, and so we will receive food from Capital Area Food Bank through March 15th. After March 15th, the hope is that the grant will be renewed and we will keep the food distribution network at Town Hall. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Fantastic. Moving to marketing communications, the newsletter for February 2022, hopefully will be distributed in the last week of January. The January newsletter was actually distributed the last week of December. So we're trying to improve our distribution times. As you very well know, if you receive it via email, you'll get it instantaneously. The mail has been a little slow, but we do the very best we can. If anybody has any complaints about the Postal Service, there is a link on our website where you can file a report. The Town of Brentwood Year in Review. This is a document that was created to give an overview on everything that's done in the town over the past 6 months. And it is posted on our website. If you're interested in looking at the Town of Brentwood Year in Review, that's where it's located. Of course, we are still doing ceremonial docs. Facebook, we are actually up to 411 friends. For Instagram, we got 49 posts. We have 142 followers. For Twitter, we're up to 124 followers. 38 followers and 124 following. And our notary public report, we had 2 notaries from November 17th through December. These dates are wrong. We had 2 notaries between December 21st through today, January 18th. And that is my report. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Mr. Gaston. That was great. So now we are going to move to council reports, and we are beginning with the Cable TV Authority and Councilmember Marcus Monroe.
Good evening, everyone. Excuse me, voice is a little groggy too. So I have the Cable Committee and also a few other board/committee updates to make. So first off, cable committee, no new updates. Other than last month, we did receive an initial email about the potential rates rising. I haven't received any updates on that one. Let me know, Mr. Gasson, if you've heard anything since then from Mr. Fountain.
I think I left you the most recent from, I think it's one of the utility companies, but I left it in your mailbox.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you, Mayor. I'll stop by and get that. Otherwise, a few other things from PGCMA. Again, thank you all. Chief, you did a wonderful job presenting at the legislative meet and greet in December. Mayor, thank you for attending as well. We showed a strong showing for Brentwood. Councilmember Taylor, as always, appreciate the hard work on the legislative committee. Excuse me. And so it was a good chance to get the municipality's agenda out there. So I thought it was a really successful event. And as a reminder, the actual legislative session for the General Assembly started last week on the 12th, excuse me, and it ends on April 11th. So as a legislative chair, just a few things that's on my radar that I want to make sure everybody's aware of. One, they are planning on continuing the virtual testimony hearings and committee meetings like they did last year due to COVID. But they are doing in-person as needed meetings if you need to have a one-on-one with your legislator. So depending on how it goes, we may be able to go down in person if we needed to, for example, to meet with a legislator about a key Brentwood initiative. Also of note, just to be aware, it's clearly a busy political season, just for everybody to know. There's a number of just folks terming out, like the governor, comptroller, et cetera. People are just sort of stepping down and new folks are running. Several of the chairs and committee chairs have changed hands because some people decided not to run and things like that. Reason why that's all important is just to be aware for context sake that a lot of things are different going into this legislative session than would have been predicted, because now you're just interfacing with different people who weren't in that position a month ago. Obviously, Tony and Ellie Perez and his team are going to keep track of that, but that's just something for our team to know about. Next, their PGCMA is asking that folks, if they can, fill out a survey. There's a potential new partnership with the Prince George's Community College to develop more learning content for municipal employees. So I'll send a link out to the town clerk so you can share with our team. But basically the idea is to get more training options outside of MML and the National League of Cities. So for residents, Maryland Municipal League is MML. We're members and we attend sessions for that. And then the National League of Cities is also an area where we can get training. So they want to create more localized content for our staff and would like more insights from us. FYI, for the end of the week, we have the next PGCMA meeting on Prince George's Community Municipal Association's meeting on Thursday. I have nominated Council Member Taylor for the position of secretary. So, so she has graciously allowed me to do that, because we were definitely circling her at the event and trying to encourage her to run for this open position. So we'll see how it goes. She's up against two other people that are running, and I'm rooting for her on that. So also FYI, Senator Van Hollen is having a webinar on the FY23 earmark process. As you all remember, we submitted some items for the last round of earmarks, and they're doing a webinar on Friday, January 21st at 2 p.m. And I can send all these notes to everybody afterwards on that. Also of note, on the 21st on Friday is the Prince George's County House Delegation. It's holding a virtual hearing to discuss the legislative priorities, both for them and also for the county executive. And it's primarily for her to discuss her legislative priorities. So it's something that if you have time to try and tune into. And again, I'll send a link for that. And one other item for the Anacostia Trails Heritage Area, which we are a member of, and I'm the liaison for. So just a big one right now going on is the grant is popping up here. So I have shared this with the town administrator, but just FYI for the team, the intent to apply for the Maryland Heritage Area grant is January 28th. And after that, the final actual application is due on March 4th. Just of note, this is for non-capital projects, which can include planning, research exhibits, events, murals, et cetera, for up to $50,000. And capital projects such as renovation, repairs, and restorations for up to $100,000. And that is the end of my reports for committees and board liaisoning.
Thank you, Councilmember Monroe. Anybody have questions for CO Monroe?
Not a question, it's more like a comment. I did receive the PGCMA special election. However, they did not send me the link to be able to vote because I am there.
Okay, thanks. I'll let her know and then have them send it to you right after the meeting.
Okay.
That's great. Anyone else? All right, well, up next is the Public Works report with me. It was sort of a quiet month for Public Works. The committee itself took off for the holidays. Speaking of the holidays, of course, I helped Councilmember Taylor and the rest of the staff with the kids' holiday program, drove Santa around, assisted with the food distribution, of course, on alternating Tuesdays with Mr. Welch and the police department. Work with Ms. Richards to create content for the lamplighter. Upon the mayor's invitation, I joined a closed meeting with Dr. Chan, who was the secretary, or the deputy secretary of the Maryland Department of Health, to talk about the future of vaccinations and testing in Maryland, basically, with some other municipal leaders. The National League of Cities offered a few online classes, which I attended, including one entitled Health and Resilience Through the Arts. The idea being is that the art community can sometimes sort of be in a silo, and community health centers can kind of be in a silo. And the idea was getting them together with municipal leaders being sort of the go-between and finding a way for those three parties to work together to sort of improve health disparities and create better health outcomes for the community. So it's actually part of an ongoing workshop. So I'll probably be attending more classes there to learn how we can bring together our arts community with our healthcare providers and so forth to improve our residents' health. And then lastly, also with the National League of Cities, I attended another class that was about ARPA compliance, because the Treasury has issued their final rule, for how we can use the money basically from ARPA. So I attended one of those classes. But that was pretty much it for the Vice Mayor and Public Works. So any questions before we move on to Councilmember Vetri Goff? All righty, Councilmember Vetri Goff and the Green Team Tree Committee, it's all yours.
I am here. It's also been a quiet month for Green Team as well. And we have an update and a request concerning the plaque for the police chief, but that'll be done under new business.
Very good. So now we go to the special events. And of course, Councilmember Kiana Taylor.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm duplicating a lot of what I shared at the last meeting because some things happened prior to, but just in the spirit of transparency, I'm going to go over it again. In the month of December, we had our food basket giveaway, which was coordinated largely through Chief Althoff and Prince George's County. And we received, I believe, close to 25 baskets, which were all distributed to families in need. We also did our annual holiday party where the children get to come and receive a toy. It was really, really nice. The mayor and assisted the staff in setting up the park. It was beautiful. And we had a photo booth so people were able to come and take a picture with Santa Claus. We were able to provide gifts to approximately 75 children and then gift cards to about 25 children, which those were the teenagers who, you know, probably didn't want a toy, but they were able to get a gift card. And those were donated to us. I also attended the PGC MA legislative meet and greet. We had a really, really good presentation, which was done by MML. And we also were able to speak with our county executive who came. The state's attorney was able to come, and we had our entire delegation came, and we had several senators, Senator Penske, Senator Griffith, and a few other folks. So that was really, really good. As Councilmember Monroe stated earlier, I have been nominated to be the secretary for the upcoming PGCMA, well, not session, but moving forward, because they've had some promotions within the ranks. So voting is currently happening, and I will find out soon if I got the job or not. We selected the winners for the holiday decorating contest. Those persons have been contacted, and our town clerk has begun to issue them their gift cards, and there are a few that we'll need to distribute in person. That will likely happen this week. I had a meeting yesterday with the Special Events Committee to begin discussing Brentwood 100. So we've begun discussing sponsorships and some of the bigger companies that we would like to try to attract. So there will be some communication that I'll be sending to the Mayor and Council upcoming very soon with some ideas for how we can possibly obtain some funding for that. We also brainstormed some small celebratory events that we would like to do to keep the motivation high and keep the spirit up. So as I stated, more information will be forthcoming. And let me see. I attended the final Zoom ARPA pop-up with Vice Mayor Leggett. We only had one resident come, which was Miss Alicia Tarr, but it was a very, very beneficial conversation. There was a really good exchange of ideas. And really that's what it's all about. Sometimes it's not the huge numbers. It's just being able to have a really good conversation and get information. So I think we've been able to do a really good job of that through the community pop-ups and then the online Zoom. And the last thing that I want to state is that this week, Senator Cardin did a Zoom that was open to everyone who is a member of PGCMA. And he spoke very bluntly, and he was very pragmatic about kind of where we are on the federal level as far as voting rights, protections, the Build Back Better. And some of the municipal mayors also inquired about ways that the municipalities can tap into some of the federal funding that's coming through. And so I think just we should be on the lookout, because there will most likely be more information coming through in the near future about ways that we can kind of get some more funding for things that ARPA won't cover, but you know, there are projects that we need to get done. And I think that's it. That's all I have. I do want to, before I'm done, thank the staff so much for all their hard work. The month of December and November are very, very busy for us. And because we did not have a very active events committee at the time, the staff shouldered a lot of that work. And so I'm absolutely appreciative of everything they did to help the events to go as planned. So thank you, staff.
Thank you, Councilmember Taylor. It was a great holiday season, to say the least. Anybody have any questions for CM Taylor? All righty. So with that, I just need a motion to receive the reports, and then we'll move to old business.
I move to receive reports of the Mayor, Council, Town Administrator, and Chief of Police.
All in favor, say aye.
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 So moved. So we're gonna get,
Vice Mayor, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
of course.
I'm not gonna make a long report because everybody already said what I was and we attend together. The only thing I want to acknowledge is the donors, the sponsors that we receive. The total donations for Christmas was $3,850. And I would like to acknowledge those businesses that we receive funds from. I'm not gonna say the amount, but it was Swartz and Sons, McDonald Towing, Mr. Bud Appliance, STK Properties, Mr. Car, Mi Pueblito Bakery, Centro de Habla Hispana, Jasmine Insurance, M&G Tag and Title, Tremendo Towing, Distribuidora Cuscatlán, El Latino Bakery, Gospel Faith, and Goshen House Trading Inc. Those were all the donations we have received. And please have a note that a lot of the presidents are still sitting at Town Hall because this year we were very lucky. We received gift cards too, and some of the other gift cards, all the kids were able to receive a $50 gift card. So that it was a very good year, and the treasurer's not here just to let us know how much is left from those donations, because I'm sure we have more money left. I just want to acknowledge that. And before anything else, as you heard town administrator saying, it's heartfelt letting our town clerk leave. I couldn't believe it, but I also understand our professions. We have to grow. We have to seek for better or more bigger challenges. And I think she will do a great job because she has done a lot for Brentwood, and she promised to be around until we fill the position. So Giselle, thank you so much for all the help. I'm sure the residents know that you have been very professional in what you do, and you always have been very helpful to all the residents. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been my pleasure working in Brentwood, and I do leave on the side notes.
I have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Mayor, would it be possible for you to send me a list of the donors? I know that the clerk is busy. I'm not sure she has had an opportunity to maybe send them a certificate of appreciation, but I think that we could, I could get those.
We did.
Those out. We did send them certificates?
We did letters. I signed the letters last
Awesome.
week.
Okay.
Giselle had them ready, and yes, it's been sent.
Okay, thank you.
I will send you the list just for the record, but yeah.
That's great. A lot of people to thank. And before we adjourn, I'll give everybody else an opportunity if they feel like they'd like to, send off a few kind words to Ms. Richards before we're done. So, so moving to old business, we're going to first talk about COVID testing kits, which I believe was something that Councilmember Taylor wanted to discuss as it pertained to taking care of the staff and council. Is that correct?
So in the work session, we had a conversation about purchasing COVID kits, and we were not able to have a majority vote in favor of that. And one of the reasons why there was, I don't want to say opposition, but one of the opinions that was against purchasing the kits is that there will probably be some being released either on the federal or on the state level in the near future, which is where we find ourselves now. The county executive issued a press release last week, I believe it was, stating that they will be providing test kits to those who are in need, to governing bodies and so forth and so on. We've also recently found out that on the federal level and the state level, they will be released as well. So the question that I am posing to the mayor and council is, I know we were against purchasing some, but do we want to acquire some from the county to have on hand in the event that we think that the staff may have been potentially exposed? Because these are PCRs, they give us a really good idea of how to immediately gauge if there's a problem among the staff. And I would also like to acknowledge that our treasurer has joined the call. So that's the question, is where do we stand on possibly acquiring them from the county to have on hand for the town use?
I'm in favor. By what you're saying is that we will purchase them from the county. We're going to get them from there.
From what I understand, the county is not charging. There's a document that we'll need to fill out and we can acquire them through the county. So from what I read, there won't be any charge related. We'll just need to apply and then we'll be getting them.
And this would be
I am in
PCR
favor.
tests.
I believe that they will be the PCR.
And do you know, like, is there a limit to how many like a municipality can apply for?
I'm gonna wait and see who else has questions. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna pull up the email because I didn't see that, but I wanna put my eyes on it again just to make sure that I'm not giving out incorrect information.
I would like to share, this is what you will be getting from the county. As a county employee, we received this at our office, but it was just one per employee. Each kit has 2 tests. So I'm not sure how many can we get, because especially for the employees, and for instance, Vice Mayor that is there every other week with the food distribution, how feasible is just to have 1 kit? I understand we have our own, at the firehouse, they doing the testing and they're using pretty much the same kit. So, I agree to the idea to have our own, available for staff and for council members, because we are dealing with the community directly. So whatever needs to be done, I'm in favor to move forward.
This is Councilmember Monroe. Same here. I agree with what the mayor said. And I was trying to do the same as Councilmember Taylor here, is read through the literature that was sent out. And I couldn't tell if it was a PCR test or not. It was my assumption that it was, but I wasn't too sure. But by all means, if we can just get the paperwork out, get additional tests for the staff, I think that makes sense. My question to all of that was also really more to the town administrator. Was there already a plan also in place for long-term testing in general? This brings up that thought, which is I'm curious what the long-term plan in general is for testing. Have we discussed that?
That would actually be a question for our HR manager, who is currently on a call. I think she has a plan. The fire department was doing testing, and that's where all the staff was being quote unquote recommended to go to receive a test.
So I'm reading back over the email that we got from Ms. Ross. It says municipalities should send their request for COVID-19 tests to Mr. Wells, who is in charge of that. It states the information that we need to include, and we'll have to include a justification for how we plan to use and distribute, but it does not say what the cap is. So as far as I know, there isn't one for this particular process. If we're just getting it for the staff and the council, I don't estimate we'll need a lot. So we most likely would not exceed the cap anyway, but I don't see that there is one in place.
Makes sense to me. It doesn't cost us anything. We're protecting the residents and we're being a good employer at the same time. So I don't see any negatives.
So Mr. Gaston should have received that email. However, if needed, I can forward it to him again because it says that just one person should submit that. I'm assuming it should probably be Mr. Gaston unless Miss Dorsey wants to do that.
No, I don't have any problem doing it. Just forward
Okay.
me the email again, and that way I'll look at it tomorrow.
I'll do it right now.
So Mr. Gaston, just let me know if you need my assistance with it.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any further discussion about the COVID testing kits? Okay, I'd like to finish all the old business and then we'll throw it back to Ms. Dorsey. Perhaps she can give us the treasurer's report and then we'll throw it back to new business. So if that's okay with everyone, let's move on to old business part B. And that is the LA Perez update, if there is one.
As of right now, there is not an update. COVID has hit everyone and the meeting that we were supposed to have did not happen. So we will reschedule for possibly later on this week or possibly next week. A lot of individuals are, unfortunately, they've been affected by COVID and it's delayed getting information and meetings done.
And what is the update with Bates, or is it a similar situation?
That too is another similar situation. The leadership that the town of Brentwood needs to meet with has been affected by COVID and they are ill. So as soon as we can schedule a meeting, we will do that. But as of right now, Bates, LA Perez needs to be tabled.
Okay. Which brings us to old business part D, which is the ARPA consulting firm. I asked that this be added to the agenda. So we discussed the pros and cons of hiring someone to manage the ARPA funds, being at a firm or being a grant manager specific for the ARPA funds. So my understanding is that the next step is for us to, as a council, decide whether we want to move forward with advertising this position. If we do, then our town administrator will, draft an RFP and present it to us at the next work session. But this is our opportunity to ask more questions, have more discussion, and decide whether we do want to, in fact, hire someone to help manage the funds or whether we want to do it internally.
So may I speak, Vice Mayor?
Yes, of course. Welcome.
Thank you. And my apologies for being late. I'm actually still working, but I'm on the call. Just real quick. So if we do a project or a grant writer, bring in a grant writer, did we want to hire someone to bring on as a temporary employee, or did we want to do an RFP and go out and search for someone that way? I think we could do either way. And so I just want to, just have to give some thought to that.
I can just say for context, excuse me, some of our neighbors, including Bladensburg, Mount Rainier, and I believe Cottage City are all actively advertising for the position of a grant manager for their ARPA funds. And as far as I'm aware, Hyattsville has hired a firm. I'm sure there'll be a price difference. And as Madam Treasurer mentioned, it would also make a difference in what our ad would be. Would it be an RFP or would it just be a position available for a limited time?
Councilman Monroe, I have a comment. Excuse me. So I think the part-time position seems to make sense to me on face. And I sort of agree with the other town's approach of just getting a part-time person that can come in and manage it for us, because again, that's a lot of assets that are going to come in. Potentially, I use the word several programs that may come out of this process that need to get also processed in a way that's, reportable for our requirements. And again, the point I made before is I don't want to put that undue, unneeded burden on our staff that's already spread a little thin. So I think a grant manager would make a lot of sense. The question I would have is they are managing also, I know this was part of the discussion, but are they going to also help us sort out the information that we received? Because I'd be really interested in that level of assistance as well. So someone that can both help us determine that, hey, you received all this information. I'm going to take the bucket of comments from the community. I'm going to take your comments and then help you put some level of a proposal together that you can then vote on would be, in my view, very helpful to wade through. And then they can help us with the actual management of those funds. And then I guess the open-ended question is, how long would the part-time position be for? Would it be through 2026? Or do we envision this being year to year? And so that way, if we're 2 to 3 years into it, we're not committed to a, say, 4-year timeline. It's something that we can review annually and figure out if we need to continue with as needed. So that'd be my thoughts.
So what I hear you saying is like, we need to decide like what the scope of the job is, right? Or if they're going to be developing the spending plan, not just managing it, and then how long it'll be for. And I guess that would probably bleed into the idea of what we would pay. Is that right?
That's correct. Any insight on how much the other towns have set aside salaries for?
Yes. I believe Mount Rainier was offering a salary range, of course, between $65 and $95 at a level consistent with experience and qualifications, of course. I believe Cottage City was offering 45 to 65 was their range. And I can't recall what the town of Bladensburg was. It's all available for view at MML. I'm sure you're not surprised. And you can see the specific wording.
Oh, I see it. Thank you. Yep.
This is the
My
treasurer.
Madam
I'm
Treasurer?
sorry. Yes, I was just going to make a comment because I know sometimes it can be a challenge, you know, when you're trying to hire a part-time person. And I'm just wondering if it's worth touching base with the other towns to maybe we can collaborate and hire someone to where they, you know, for instance, Colmar Manor, maybe they're managing Colmar Manor and they're managing Brentwood, kind of like the Circuit Rider program where you get that town administrator and they're shared. I wonder if we could share a grant writer if we go that route. And, you know, maybe it generates enough to where it's a full-time position, and it definitely would make it easier to get somebody on board.
That would definitely make it more appealing to
Yes.
someone to come on board. I like that idea a lot.
Do we know if North Brentwood's also exploring this idea, Shelley?
They're
Madam
not.
Treasurer. Okay.
They're not, but you know, their award was small. I mean, it was like 270 some thousand. So obviously we're working with a lot bigger pot.
Mm-hmm.
However, even with the pot that we have, I don't see it keeping a full, you know, enough for a full-time position. So we
If
could
I may,
collaborate.
Vice Mayor, if I may.
I have a question.
Let's have Mayor Tremino Lopez first. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, I just wondering if that is kind of like based by amount, or maybe a percentage of what we receive that can be expanded on that for the next 4 years. Like say this is we plan this, we're gonna divide this funding for the 4 years. So what percentage of that amount will be spent into the consultant? That's another thing. Not sure if the other municipality have considered, or they're just going to go by the hourly rate, or depending on what the, because you can do by hour, but what would be the scope of work? What is the expectation? I mean, they can put thousands of hours, but what are you getting from? So that's the other thing. So I'm thinking more like a percentage, hourly rate. What is because we cannot, unless we have a scope of work, because we cannot be comparing ourselves with Hyattsville, Mount Rainier, Bladensburg. Maybe we go and check what Colmar Manor is doing, because pretty much we have like the same size, and maybe they receiving approximately the same amount. So we need to check with those. The only other, what I'm thinking of, Berwyn Heights is our same size. So maybe we can check theirs and see how they are dividing or splitting the fund, if it makes sense.
Absolutely. And Mr. Gaston, you had something to add?
I did. What I was going to do is reach out to those other towns and see if I can get a collaboration and have a report and or a presentation of my findings for the workshop so that we can go into next steps.
That sounds amazing. And so if that was the case, we wouldn't need to vote on anything tonight. Right?
No, there wouldn't be nothing to vote on. Right. So I'm going to do some fact finding and get back to this council on at our workshop first workshop in February.
Okay.
Jason, do you think we should vote to just move with the RFP? Because we need to work on the scope of work.
You can vote on it to start the scope of work if you'd like. You can go either way with that. But obviously, if you want to start to work on it, you should put an official approval on the table.
Okay. So what we'll need is a motion for, I guess, from the council that we are sort of approving the research and approving the position of some sort of grant manager for the ARPA funds.
Mhm.
Leave it vague, I assume, Jason? Open-ended?
Yep.
May I ask a question?
Please, Councilmember Taylor.
Do we really want to vote on this right now? Because we don't really have any idea about how we want to outsource the work. We haven't finished pulling all of the community feedback that we're looking for. What exactly would be the usefulness of a vote tonight, other than to state that we're considering hiring a person? But because we don't know how much we're going to pay, we don't know if we can collaborate with another municipality to make it feasible, so we don't have a salary. I will more than gladly make the motion. But is that something that we want to do now, as opposed to possibly waiting for the next meeting when we have a little bit more information and we can do everything in one fell swoop?
This is Treasurer. May I speak?
Of course, go ahead, Sean.
Okay. So if we wanted to move forward, I mean, I'm thinking the motion would be an approval to, and you can clean this up however you see fit, but an approval to outsource the administration or oversight of the ARPA funds, either through a direct hire or through a consultant via RFP process, something of that nature. So it just kind of leaves it open and you got room to go either way with it. But it also allows myself or the TA to start reaching out to see if we could get somebody that maybe wants to collaborate on hiring a full-time person to oversee Brentwood as well as their town. And if that doesn't, if it's not panning out, you know, we can kind of switch gears and start drafting an RFP. I mean, I think in terms of a collaboration, we should be able to get a answer on that or have an idea in like a, you know, within a week's time or 2 weeks tops. And if that's not going to work, then we know that, you know, we have to shift gears and go with an RFP, and then maybe we can come back at the next meeting with a draft of that if it's needed.
So basically, like the treasurer and town administrator sort of would appreciate sort of the vote of confidence for them to proceed with researching out the position and fleshing out how it's going to work. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll keep it vague. I think, you know, we all agree that we're going to outsource it. The question is how and where and to what degree. And that's where the treasurer and town administrator will do their work and follow up with us next time we meet. Does that sound good to everybody?
Shelley, can you give me that language one more time so I can make the motion?
Yes, a motion to outsource the oversight or administration of the ARPA funds, either through a direct hire or consultant. And I guess if it's a consultant, then that'll be by RFP.
Okay. I move to outsource the oversight and or administration of ARPA funds via either direct hire or consultant by RFP.
All right. Ms. Richards, can you call the roll?
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Councilmember Vetri Daw,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Legan,
Yes.
Mayor Smitty Lopez.
Yes.
So moved. All right. Thank you, guys, and thank you, Ms. Dorsey and Mr. Gaston, for the work that is to come.
You're
So
welcome.
moving on to the partnership opportunity with Capital Area Food Bank. I suppose that old business is going to be tabled, as Mr. Gaston mentioned before. So we will move on, or actually move back to the treasurer's report.
Okay. All right. And can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm starting with the treasurer, the cash report. Reporting as of December 31st, 2021. The SunTrust checking ending balance is $1,303,910.59. The SunTrust ARPA fund is $1,109,914.31. The SunTrust Capital Fund is $235,252.31. The PNC account is $297,343.54. The SunTrust Money Market is $189,563.74. The BB&T credit card account is $91,606.54. And the BB&T checking is $271,594.20. Total cash on hand at the end of December is $499,185.23. Next, I'm reporting on the budget versus actual. The summary report is what I'm referencing. And this is as of the end of December. Total income is $2,406,582.41. Total expenses is $933,745.01. Surplus is $1,472,837.40. And lastly, the bills being submitted from December 17th, 2021 through January 12th, 2022, total $54,259.12. And that ends the reading of my report, all subject to audit.
Thank you, Ms. Dorsey. Does anybody have any questions for the treasurer? Nope. All righty. So we'll move back to agenda item number 10, new business. We have already done our National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day proclamation, which brings us to Councilmember Taylor, I believe, and we're going to be discussing the approval of funds for African American Heritage Month.
Thank you so much. I've spoken with our treasurer last week, but things have been very busy. And so I don't have the numbers from last year. So I'm going to put out a blanket request for $1,000, which I highly doubt we'll spend close to that. And then that's it. We will proceed as planned for the event. A date should be decided this week. And so we can do the flyer and start circulating information related to that. I just wanted to touch base with the committee to get some more feedback from them. And so I move to approve $1,000 for the Black History Month program.
Any questions? All righty. Ms. Richards, do you mind calling roll?
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Betry Goff,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lincoln,
Yes.
Mayor Shereen Wilkins.
Yes.
So moved. It breaks my heart every time I hear you cough, Mayor. So we're going to be talking next about the Brentwood support for the Sustainable Maryland Funding Bill. This was an email that was sent out a couple days ago. If you had a chance to see it or didn't have a chance to see it, it was from Mike Hunninghack, which is the program manager for Sustainable Maryland. I think basically they were going to receive some funding from the state for their program. And then COVID happened basically, and it never happened. And so now they're trying to get that funding back again, or at least the approval for it. Once they're asking neighboring towns to give their support. Did everybody have a chance to read the request and the letter of support?
I did not, and I'm actually looking right now to see if I missed it, and I don't see it.
I can't remember which day it was. Let me see.
I have my email open. If you have it, do you have it handy?
Can I forward it to you?
Yeah, can you just push it through to me and I'll just take a look at it right now?
Absolutely. So I just sent it through, and I'll quickly just sort of recap what Mike said in his email. It says, in 2020, we attempted to get a state bill passed that would fund the Sustainable Maryland program, which of course Brentwood is a part of and has been certified twice as a sustainable city. They say that they came very close to success in 2020 before COVID ended the legislative session. The bill was not passed, and they are trying again this year and need our help with a sort of letter of support. I think maybe Marcus, Councilmember Monroe could probably speak better to it, but it's from what I understand, Sustainable Maryland offers a lot of education and resources to help cities achieve green initiatives. And it looks like a lot of our neighbors have already signed on. Mayor and Council of Hyattsville, Mayor and Council of Mount Rainier, Rockville, Salisbury, Gaithersburg, Frostburg, College Park.
We have received the designation. We are Sustainable Maryland. So yes, I will move to just make a motion and have it done. We have supported in the past.
If I may ask a question. So he's just asking us to support. Yeah, that's it. So that they can get the bill pushed through the larger House of Legislature.
I believe so. Yeah.
That in the letter of an official letter of support. It's basically supporting that, our name can go on that letter that's going out to the delegates.
Do I need to make a motion to sign on to the letter of support?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I move for the mayor and council to sign on to the letter of support for Sustainable Maryland.
Great. Shall we call the roll?
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Vetri Gall.
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Legan,
Yes.
Mayor Schmidt Wilkins.
Yes.
So moved. Okay. Thank you, guys. And so we have one last opportunity for the public to make comments, whether we received any emails or voicemails during the meeting, or if there's any residents who are on the call who would like to raise their hands. Now is the time. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments since the meeting started?
No, sir.
All righty. And I see no hands raised. But before we adjourn, I just want to say just briefly how grateful we all are. It's just sort of echo the mayor's sentiments to have worked with Ms. Richards for some of us only 6 months, for some of us many years. It's been a pleasure. You've been a consummate professional and you've really helped this town run. And we know you'll do well wherever we go, and we wish you the best in whatever you do.
I hate to interrupt, but we did not go over the new business, the police chief plaque update.
Oh my gosh,
I
thank
was
you,
just
Mayor.
about to interrupt and say that.
Yeah.
And we also didn't do the approval of the accessible parking.
Mhm.
Attorney DeLoach.
Thank goodness you're keeping us on track.
No, sir. No, sir. This is Attorney DeLoach doing his due diligence as always.
What shall we do first?
It depends. If the chief isn't on, then I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Goff, and then she's going to make her presentation,
That's fine.
and then we'll go from there.
Beautiful.
Okay, this will be short and sweet, hopefully. As we all know, we voted on and have installed a small plaque over the flower garden in honor of Chief Althoff. And we, amongst the staff, have decided that it is too small and we would like a bigger plaque. And so the smaller plaque will be removed, put into a shadow box and given to Chief Althoff as a gift, whereas a larger plaque will be installed in the ground right near the garden. There's what the original plaque looks like, and he'll show I think you, Mr. Jackson, have the pictures from the email of the computerized version of the in-ground installation. That's what that would look like. So The new plaque is costing $149.99 and about another $150 for the shadow box. So that's what we're requesting approval for, is about $300.
Did you want me to make a motion, Councilmember Goff?
Pardon?
Did you want me to make the motion?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You're so good at it.
If I may, real quick, one thing that she left out, the current plaque is 6 inches by 6 inches. The new one will be 11 inches by 17 inches.
Thank you, Mr. Gaston.
Okay. I move to approve $300, which will be used to replace the plaque at the garden and also purchase a shadow box for the existing one.
That's great. Any questions about that? Okie dokie, let's call the roll.
You could just say all in favor, say aye, and we're done.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Exciting. I did have a question of who made that computer graphic with the model and the
The
yellow
dress
dragon.
was glorious.
That was actually done with the help of Mr. Welch, who suggested that we reach out to A1 Uniforms.
Nice.
And through a lot of back and forth with them about this project, this is what we have before us. And hopefully hopefully it'll be nice. It'll actually be, put in the ground. And like I said, the item will be a lot larger. And then more importantly, when Chief leaves and is sitting on the beach in Florida, he'll be able to actually look at something that he had a garden on his, because we're going to put the plaque in a shadow box, and then the proclamation will be in there as well. So it'll be it won't be one entire unit. And then the town clerk, in all her grandiose and glory, will create something that he'll really enjoy once he decides to retire and go sit out on the beach.
That's great. So newspaper notification approval. So we need to approve these locations to be advertised in the newspaper. Does that sound right? Is
We're
the chief
approving the
on the call?
locations. No, he's gone. Are we approving the locations or are we approving the funding to run the advertisement?
I'm unsure.
I'm going to defer to our town attorney.
What was the question?
Are we approving the funding for the newspaper ad, or are we approving the locations?
I think it's just the funding for the ad. We're never done.
That's what I thought.
Approving, yeah.
He said it needed to run in the Washington Post. Do we have the amount, Mr. Gaston?
No, that actually would be a chief question. I didn't know anything about the speed camera situation, so
Okay.
I didn't know we were talking about. But then again, he wasn't in the office today, so.
I don't think he has a quote yet. He just knows that he needs to run it in the Washington Post.
That will be expensive, just to let you know.
Can you repeat what you said, Ms. Richards?
I said, I don't think he knows an amount. He has an amount yet. I just think he knows that he needs to put it in the Post.
We never use the Washington Post. The only reason is because sometimes we really don't have that amount of money. We use other sources like local newspapers, for instance, Hyattsville. Hyattsville, I think the Sentinel is no longer, but a higher Hyattsville Wire. We can use other, but Washington Post, I think that's getting top. It's top dollars for that one.
I'm asking him right now, can we skip ahead to the approval of the parking, and then by the time we finish, I may have an answer?
Yep, absolutely. If not, we'll table it till next time. So what could be the final item would be approving the accessible parking spot on 38th Street.
Did you want me
Yeah.
to make a motion for that?
But again, yeah, did he, I don't have a specific address for that. I know he mentioned it, but without him being here, I don't want to approve unless I know the address.
I'm pulling the email right now to see if it's in there.
In the meantime, there was one last thing I wanted to show that I wasn't able to earlier, if I may, Vice Mayor.
Of course.
This is the year in review document that is currently on our website. It is under the newsletter area. It's about 9 pages. Basically has a table of contents, has a beautiful picture of the mayor and the letter that she wrote to the residents of Brentwood. Then it deals with the various projects that we've completed. This town council has completed. And that is pretty much it, but it is a complete year in review, very simple, and it is posted on our website. The other item I wanted to let people know that at last meeting, I indicated that we received a $250,000 grant to finish the town hall. The reality is we actually received a $270,000 grant. $250,000 is for construction costs, and $20,000, and don't quote me on this because I need to ask the grant manager. The $20,000 is for services, so architect or engineer or what have you. But I'll have more information at the workshop. But I wanted to let everybody know that it wasn't $250,000; it was $270,000, and this is part 2 of the $150,000 grant we received last year.
Cool. Good money.
And I am finished. Thank you very much. Do I hear 280,000? Councilmember Taylor, did you get any clarification?
I'm on the phone with him right now. Give me just 1 moment. Feel free to heap your praise on the town clerk while we're getting this information together. Don't all jump to do it at the same time.
It's okay, thank you.
Giselle, I would just like to say simply thank you for your service to the town. You've been a wonderful pleasure to work with.
Thank you.
Town clerk.
Yes. Would you want to be?
Anybody else have any comments on our illustrious, magnanimous town clerk? This will probably be one of her last meetings with us. Her last day is January 28th.
I would hate being town clerk. It's busy.
Yep, sure is.
It's a busy ass job.
And then with COVID going on, is there a plan for any official send off? We should put on the calendar.
We will have to discuss that with our events coordinator, Councilmember Taylor.
All right.
There you go.
Okay, we've gone off the track here when we were almost done.
Waiting on her to finish up her phone conversation.
There's a comment on the chat. Can somebody please read?
Oh, that's nice. So one of our residents says, let's see, Leon Coleman, I believe it's his last name, even though it's cut off on my screen. He says, I know the comment isn't timed, but I do appreciate the support and dedication you all show to your law enforcement. I myself am a retired law enforcement person, so a personal thank you to all of you. He also thanks the town clerk for all that she's done.
Oh, while we're waiting, the other thing I wanted to let you know is that WSSC update is working on the leak at 38th and Allison. They're going to work on the leak tomorrow. They put down salt in the area. The residents in that area may have low water pressure, but the water has been turned back on, but it may be low. And then tomorrow they're actually going to repair the leak. So just an FYI on that. We sent out an email, put it on Facebook and Twitter. So we let everybody know as soon as we found out about it. As a matter of fact, I need to thank a Mr. Valentine who contacted the office about the leak. So once we found out about it, we immediately called WSSC to get it repaired. So there you have it. If anybody has any questions or comments, we'll try to address it in the morning, but you can always call WSSC. I think I put their telephone number here in the chat, and that is the individual you need to call regarding that repair. But salt has been put down to keep it from icing up tonight. The reason they didn't come out because of the weather, but they are aware of it, and hopefully this time tomorrow, it'll be an issue that has been resolved.
May I speak very quickly? Just kind of where we are, this is a great time to remind our residents that they can sign up for push alerts through the town website. And so when incidents like this happen and we send notification, they'll get an immediate notification via text to their phone. And also if residents have any questions, they can always call Town Hall 301-927-3344 or email info@brentwoodmd.gov. There are multiple people who check that email. It's a very, very fast way to get information if you are in need. In regards to the two items that we were waiting for the chief, he sends his apologies. He is feeling very poorly. What he did say is that the quote from the Washington Post is forthcoming. He will forward that to us as soon as he is able to get it. And in regards to the resident who needs the accessible parking, he was not able to immediately access the address, but he's going to send that to us as well and speak with the resident in regards to the wait that it will be to get that approved.
Okay, so that sounds like stuff we'll follow up with at the work session. Thank you, Councilmember Taylor, for speaking with him. I know he's feeling very poorly. So, is there anything outstanding before we adjourn the meeting? All right, this is where we always throw it to Councilmember Monroe to wrap it up.
Motion to adjourn at 8. Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
I'm so sorry. I just received a notification. This is for all of you, but I mean, to know all the residents. This message is from USPS, US Postal Service, and good luck with that. I'm so sorry, but I have to say that. There's a link that they posted, and I'm gonna share with you all that they send. That is https://specialusps.com test kits. So you can order your test kit via USPS. That's another resource for the community to be able to get a free at-home COVID test, and recommended to do soon because they're getting, it is a website that you can go, put your address there, your email, and they will be able to send you up to 4 depending on your family size. So I will send that over. So I already shared that. Okay, you got it, Councilmember Monroe. That's it. If we can share that with the rest of the residents, so that would be great. It's me, that's all, I'm sorry.
No, that's good. That's important information. Thank you, Mayor. Anything else outstanding before we adjourn? All right, thank you, everybody. And Councilmember Monroe, it's your floor.
All right, motion to adjourn at 8:48 p.m.
All in favor, say aye.
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 You guys are great. Hope you feel better, Mayor.
You.
Good night.
Good night.